Story 1, nobody asked. It's just so annoying, especially when someone first states a controversial opinion without anyone asking. Story 2, my truth. It is either true or not. The phrase my truth suggests your position is not objectively true but an opinion, and that you do not want to change your mind when new facts are presented. Story 3. There is a new trend where people say instead of ass or try to censor words like kill, sex, and dead. Story 4. I'm very direct. Say that you lack the vocabulary and emotional intelligence to convey criticism without offending people. Story 5. Using business phrases such as circle back and table that in casual conversation drives me wild. Story 6. I'm glad your father, mother, or other relative is not here to see this. Their being dead is considered better than dealing with something in life. Story 7. Just think positively. Okay, I'll think my way out of 5 years of severe chronic pain. I'm cured. Story 8. When people say, I could care less, they usually mean, I couldn't care less. Saying I could care less implies they do, in fact, care. Story 9. Alternative facts. I dislike this phrase for 2 reasons. First, it is a contradiction in terms. The only alternative to a fact is a falsehood. Second, people who use the phrase often defend harmful actions. Story 10. Okay, my answer is a bit complicated. I'm going to call out a YouTube channel. Keep in mind they are not a bad channel. They make very entertaining content, but they do one thing that really annoys me. They censor words that could be considered bad. For example, words such as murder, kill, piss, terrorist, and gun are altered. If a word could be even slightly bad, they change it somehow, and it annoys me a lot. They use curse words like ass, fuck, and shit, and they also say murder, kill, and terrorist, yet they censor themselves for YouTube shorts. Either be kid-friendly or do not sit in the gray area. Because the gray area annoys me. In short, it is basically TikTok language, and that is what annoys me. Story 11. People say hi in direct messages and wait for our reply. Just say what you want to say. Story 12. Bring your top performance. This expression is almost exclusively used for situations that are neither games nor competitions. Story 13. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger unless it takes your limbs, spine, or short-term memory. Destroys your kidneys. Shatters your will to live. Drains your bank account. Crushes your optimism. Fries your nerves. Derails your career. Kills your sleep. Breaks your trust. Wipes your savings. Steals your patience. Stiffens your joints. Scars your brain. Erases your faith in people. Numbs your emotions. Damages your credit score. Destroys your appetite. Wrecks your back. Or simply leaves you too tired to care anymore. Story 14. A word that annoys me for some odd reason is kiddos. Story 15. Stop overthinking. Like, I can't just turn it off because you say that. This is literally like telling someone with insomnia to just sleep. Story 16. A stranger said, "This too shall pass. To me while my friend was dying. I found it dismissive of my feelings and not at all comforting." Story 17. Not a phrase but a word that isn't real. Irregardless. Story 18. She or he is an influencer. What does that mean? Who says that? Story 19. Get over it or suck it up. Just because I briefly complain about something to a confidant does not mean I will not do what I have to do. We all have to vent sometimes, right? It is dismissive. Story 20. I'm humble. 1. If you have to tell people you are humble, you are obviously lacking humility. 2. It is usually used as an excuse to wear dirty pajamas to a wedding or to have a messy house. Story 21. Use set foot instead of step foot. Use could not care less instead of could care less. Do not begin every sentence with the word so. Story 22. The apology "I'm sorry if I offended anyone," issued by a public figure after a public outcry, rings hollow when many people were clearly offended. Story 23. My 9th grade biology teacher made it his mission to make you feel like shit if you simply asked a clarifying question. So you said the report was supposed to be 7 pages, right? And the last page is just references. I believe that's what I said. I don't know. Maybe I didn't say that if you had to ask me. Maybe I should be clearer in the future. No, you said that. I was just making sure I remembered correctly. Oh, so then you didn't need to ask. God, I fucking hate that guy. Kevin, if you're reading this, I hope your wife leaves you and you catch scabies. Story 24. My boss uses wanting in place of wants, saying someone is wanting to do. It drives me nuts. Story 25. It's giving blank. I hear it in a TikTok Valley Girl kind of voice. Story 26. I will tell you the truth. Do you want to know the truth? No. Tell me lies, please. Story 27. Doggo, pupper, and fur baby just annoy me. Story 28. People used to die or pass away. The now common saying that they passed never sounds right to me. Story 29. 3 things. 1. I'm not racist, but 2. Regardless. 3. I couldn't care less. Story 30. I'm just kidding. Go fuck yourself. You're not just kidding. You're rude and making excuses. Story 31. Okay, I am going to say that to an anti-vaccination person. Trusting your gut is not always a good idea. Story 32. It's not, I could care less. It's, I couldn't care less. Story 33. Let me show you something. Chef's kiss. Anything with the word. It's giving. Did you know that if you put these things together? A family member or doctor showed me this hack. Story 34. It is what it is. Out of the box thinking. Another tool for your toolbox. I'm so happy to be retired and not have to sit in meetings or training and hear some dimwit say these phrases. Story 35. Good things come to those who wait. This couldn't be more wrong. Unless, of course, you're expecting a huge inheritance. Story 36. It is what it is. No, it is not. We can still fix it. Story 37. People sometimes say I could care less when they mean I could not care less. Story 38. It is what it is. You're overreacting. What's wrong with him? My answer's very, nothing, kiddo. He just can't walk like you or nothing. What's wrong with you? Story 39. This is the way. Yes, because every fucking post needs 200 people parroting those phrases and posting bullseye 100 and pointing finger emojis. That is what upvotes are for. Story 40. Complaining about capitalism while tweeting from their iPhone. Story 41. Because I told you so. Or even worse, me, but I thought. Them. Do not think. Just do what you were told. Story 42. It bothers me when people say, axed instead of asked, or proly instead of probably. Maybe it's just me. Story 43. No phrase particularly annoys me. I am annoyed by men who, when telling me something, have to touch me, tapping my arm or shoulder. What the fuck are you touching? Story 44. I'm sorry you felt like that instead of I'm sorry I made you feel like that. Story 45. Lives in your head rent-free. Of course it does. Thoughts cannot pay rent and do not have jobs. Story 46. Oh, that's not it. I want to rip my eyeballs out so I can never read that sentence again. Story 47. What does not kill you makes you stronger, said the woman who ran off with my husband. Not joking. Story 48. It's always in the last place you look. Does the idiot think I'm gonna keep looking? Story 49. Nowadays, when kids agree with you, they follow up your sentences with the word period. Laughing out loud. Story 50. Moving forward has 100% of the time meant that the current issue is unresolved. Story 51. My point still stands. People only use this when their argument has been disassembled to the quantum level and there is absolutely nothing they can do to defend it anymore. Story 52. I'm older than you, so you might be older, but that doesn't mean anything. I worked in a restaurant where one cook got on his high horse because he was 20 years older than the rest of us. Mind you, he had been cooking for 30 years and had never been a chef, sous chef, or even a lead team member because he couldn't cook worth a damn, let alone manage anyone. He often said that, if he was feeling especially pleased with himself, he would pick on people because he was 6'4" and skinny. Most of his so-called jokes were that he was taller than everyone and that others were headed for an early grave because they were fat. I hated him. Story 53. That social media newspeak is bullshit. Sex, dead, grape, corn. Just so annoying. Also, people who refer to kids as crotch goblins are gross. Story 54. Same difference. Precisely what difference is the same as what other difference? I understand it does not actually mean that. I just do not understand how those two words came to mean. The difference you have brought up is trivial or beside the point. It is as if someone could not decide between saying pretty much the same and basically no difference and ended up saying both at once, garbling their words into a nonsense phrase that felt right enough. Story 55. We apologize for any inconvenience caused. It always seems so glib and insincere. Story 56. I could care less. Nah, bro, you actually couldn't care less but go off. Story 57. I searched for it. This drives me bonkers. You either search or look it up. Search up is like nails on a chalkboard to me. Story 58. With all due respect means they believe no respect is due. Story 59. When you are pregnant and everyone keeps calling you mama in that nerve-grating tone. Hey mama, how are you feeling? You're getting big, mama. What the fuck? Just use my name. I do, in fact, still have an identity outside of being a mother or incubator, and I didn't give birth to you, so stop calling me mama. It drove me up the wall with my first, and now I'm pregnant with my second. I started saying if you were not brought into the world by me pushing you out of my vagina, then don't call me mama. Story 60. Get over it. That is such an uncaring and negative thing to say. Story 61. Life isn't fair. This is a direct response to calling someone out for doing something unfair. Story 62. When I was young, it was because I said so. Now, as an adult in my 20s, the response is I am older, so I deserve. You deserve nothing. You have not earned it. Story 63. States, probably offensive. Opinion as fact. Change my mind. Fuck off. If you want to be a bigot, it is no one else's job to try to make you see reason. Story 64. Something being stinking cute. If something stinks, that is a big negative to me, so why are we using it to emphasize positive adjectives? Story 65. Work smarter, not harder. It does not matter whether you work smart or hard. If you are efficient, you will be given more responsibilities and are more likely to suffer burnout. Story 66. But that's not how the world works. Whenever I suggest something to someone older, whether by age or by career, they tell me that I did not even suggest anything. Story 67. Something dropped. Taylor Swift was not able to carry her new album. Did she drop it? Story 68. It never did me any harm. Often interchangeable with, people did fine without it for hundreds of years. Times change. Things improve. Sometimes we learn that something is harmful even though we did not know before. Sometimes the new thing may have drawbacks, but that does not make it entirely bad. That attitude of not bothering to question what one thinks one knows is ignorant and deeply irritating to me. Story 69. Anything presented as an original thought that is actually just a line someone is repeating. I remember one guy saying something about politics like, I want to use guns to defend your right to gay marriage, while combining 5 different talking points into a single sentence. The first time I heard it, I thought it was moderately clever to deliver off the cuff. Every subsequent time I heard the exact same line, I thought, why do people think it's clever to parrot someone else's thoughts and act like they are their own? People think artificial intelligence is bad, but we have been living in a world where most people already behave like artificial intelligence. Story 70. I renovated and built. No, you did not. You paid contractors to do the renovations and construction. Story 71. I couldn't care less. Story 72. Anything related to the idea that it is God's will instantly make me very mad. Story 73. It is just common sense. What is usually attributed to common sense consists of things you did not know or had never thought about until you learned them. For example, do not mix bleach and ammonia. Check your oil, coolant, and tire pressure. Open the chimney flue before you start a fire. And use the left lane only for passing. Story 74. Holy bobs. Grown adults saying hollabobs make me cringe. Story 75. Agree to disagree? No. One of us is wrong, and I need to know if it's me. Story 76. Maybe it's not the right time. Should I set an appointment with destiny or what? Story 77. Well, life isn't fair, and it could easily be fair if the people in power weren't greedy. Story 78. A whole other? Nother is not its own word. Story 79. Starting with I have no filter, especially when someone you just met says it, is a blanket excuse for being rude and expecting others to accept it because you warned them. No. Story 80. Hella is a stupid word. It is what it is. No kidding, what else is it going to be? It will be in the last place you look. Really? You think I am going to find it and keep looking? Governments are the most beneficial institutions in any society. Open up a history book. Story 81. I forgot my password and the security officer says that I did not forget my phone. How can I check the time on a plastic card? Story 82. I feel a certain way. Motherfucker, just say the emotion. Story 83. Take it with a grain of salt. It's so cliché. There are many other ways to convey the same sentiment. I just hate hearing it. Story 84. Living the dream? You dream of sitting in my bar ordering a well whiskey? Story 85. That's what she said. It was funny in middle school, but as an adult, at least make the joke better. Story 86. It is what it is because you are accepting whatever it is. Be better. Story 87. Nothing specific. When a phrase is repeated so often that it becomes a slogan, I lose interest in any conversation. Story 88. I'm not reading all that. Maybe you should, but let's be honest. You probably could not even make it through a children's picture book if you think 2 paragraphs is too much. Story 89. In the future, do whatever. In a barking, condescending tone. Bitch, I'm a grown adult, and that will make me do the opposite of whatever bullshit you're rambling about. Story 90. You just have to find a way to cope with it. I hate the term cope. Story 91. The ick. Almost everyone I have heard use it is fucking insufferable. Story 92. Don't look for love. It comes to you when you are not looking. Story 93. When someone says I am sorry you felt that way, they are not truly sorry and are not admitting fault. It is a manipulative tactic. They ask for forgiveness while refusing to take real responsibility. When public figures begin apologies with that phrase or with something like I am sorry my words were interpreted that way, I immediately ignore the apology. Story 94. This is my truth, usually followed by the most eye-rolling things you will hear that day. Story 95. Please do not ask whether I have accepted Jesus as my Savior. I am not sure why people do this. It annoys me. My religious beliefs are nobody's business. Wishing me a blessed day is fine, but please do not ask questions. Story 96. You can come if you want. If you do not want me there, tell me. Story 97. When my child was in the hospital, staff kept calling me mom. I'm not your mother. Story 98. A woman at my workplace frequently says you're not wrong in a high-pitched voice, and I can only think how stupid it makes her sound. It doesn't really mean anything. Story 99. Government retirees say they live on a fixed income. I did not work for any government entity with a lifetime pension guarantee, but I am also on a fixed income. Almost everyone is, unless they spend more than they have. Story 100. You snooze, you lose, especially when it applies to something I wasn't made aware of. It always fucking gets me to this day. Story 101. People use the phrase it's not rocket science to belittle someone for not knowing something. Story 102. The thing is that the second is drives me crazy. Story 103. It is not a phrase, but when people speak about themselves in the third person, I do not know why, but it absolutely annoys me. Story 104. Coink-a-dink for coincidence. Sammys for sandwiches, nuggies for nuggets. I hate it when people dumb words down or make words sound childish. Fucking nuggies. Story 105. People incorrectly say, I could care less when they should say, I couldn't care less. Story 106. Coinky-dink in place of coincidence. I understand, it is fun to say, but good grief, I cannot take anyone who uses that word seriously. Story 107. I have had chronic pain since I was 5 years old. One thing that always instantly annoys me is when people say the phrase, "but you look fine." You do not look like a fool, but here we are. I would like to see you go about your day while feeling like your own body is trying to drag you to the pits of hell. Story 108, we both know. Stop saying that. Just because I know the same thing as you does not mean I will act the same. Story 109, anything with fascist or Nazi in it. Get a damn dictionary and shut the fuck up. Story 110, just breathe. Oh thanks, Einstein. All this time I didn't know what to do with my pulmonary system. Story 111. People often say, I could care less. But the correct expression is, I couldn't care less. Story 112. I couldn't care less. Well, go on then. It's couldn't care less, people. Story 113. If you need to say it, say fucking. Otherwise choose another word. Because using effing is cheating. Story 114. Everyone is a little autistic. Just stop with that. Please, as an autistic person, I beg you. Story 115. Personal identification number. Automated teller machine. Vehicle identification number. Couldn't care less. Story 116. It is all God's plan when a 5-year-old dies from cancer. Story 117. I'm fighting demons. So idiotic that I just start laughing. What demons are you fighting that make you a complete asshole with no accountability or regard for others and their situation? Story 118. Calm down always makes me more annoyed instantly, and no offense usually means offense is coming. Story 119. If you know, fuck around and find out. At the end of the day. Story 120. With all due respect, the next sentence will be the most disrespectful ever. Story 121. Fear of missing out is not a concern for me. I prefer not to be involved. Edit. I thought of another example while reading the comments. Saying 4 in the morning is redundant. Anti-meridium means in the morning, so use one or the other. Story 122. It's giving insert random noun here. What the fuck kind of sentence structure is that? Story 123. How are you today? Someone asked this a few years back, so I decided to have fun with it. My answer was that I was going to jump off the bridge, since around here it is a term for ending one's time on Earth. Anyway, she said, have a good time, which goes to show that people just go through the motions of pleasantries. Story 124. Out of pocket means paying for things when payment will not be reimbursed. Story 125. Another day in paradise? I hate when people ask me this shit while I'm at work. I know it's supposed to be fun and lighthearted, but man, does it get fucking annoying. Story 126. Do your research feels like it has become the non-thinker's way of trying to end a conversation they recognize they cannot feasibly win? Story 127. You know what I mean? My mom and brother say this constantly during conversations. Yes, I know what you are talking about. They say it so often, even when someone else only says it occasionally. It annoys me when they do. Story 128. Across the pond, from the United States to the United Kingdom, I thought it was cute the first time I heard it. The second time I thought, okay, that's enough. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.